Hey, it's Stevie P in the place to be. And today I want to talk about relationships because I've had a common theme come up in a few conversations recently, and I want to talk about it because I see this theme within myself and a lot of my friends who are guys. And this theme is only having short-term relationships and even very short-term relationships. So not having any real long-term relationships in your life. And this is how I've lived for 28 years, although I am entering a long-term relationship right now. And I know it in my heart to be something that's long-term. So, but I look back and at my other relationships and the fleetingness of it all. And I notice themes. And a lot of my friends have had very, very similar experiences throughout their teens and 20s. And it can essentially be broken down into two categories. And there are other things that are involved with like social media and dating apps and the fear of missing out because we have access to communicate with so many people, so people are less likely to go into long-term relationships. So there are a lot of factors, but I think it boils down to two main things. One being perfectionism. A lot of men have this perfectionism complex, both within themselves and regarding other people, because how we view other people is a manifestation of how we view ourselves. It's a reflection. So I was such a perfectionist until recently. I'm finally learning to truly love imperfection. And I would be that way with myself. I would have to maximize my body, maximize my mind, be the best in everything I did, and to just be dead set on being perfect, putting immense pressure on myself to do so. So I would, hang out with people, meet up with women, whatever, meet new people. And if I saw not if, when I would see imperfections within people, I would back off and distance myself because I was searching for perfection. I was searching for it within myself, and it was frustrating me, and I was searching for it in the external world in relationships, and nothing was working out because I was searching for perfection. And perfection, as we all know, does not exist. It's imperfection that allows for uniqueness and allows for continuous improvement. So imperfection is a gift. It's what makes people unique, and it's what allows us to improve. And on the other side of the spectrum, this really isn't for those people, because I'm talking about the people that are searching for perfection and kind of back away from relationships. But there's other people that settle. And these are the people that, they cling on to any relationship they can find and just hold on for dear life because who knows, like they're afraid of losing someone or something like that. They need someone else to fill their needs. So I'm not talking about those kind of people because I don't have much experience in that myself. I'm more of the back away type of person. And a lot of people, especially men that I know, fit more into that category as well, or that side of the spectrum as well. So we're discussing that. And perfectionism doesn't exist, and we have to learn to love imperfections. And you can find someone as a partner, as a romantic partner, whose imperfections you actually love, whose imperfections are actually qualities that make them more attractive to you. So that is possible, and it makes things more exciting because it makes people unique. So embrace that. And this all has to do with inner work. You have to go within, ask yourself the hard questions, get rid of your fears, break your negative patterns, release some trauma from your past. And this is how you get rid of any complex, but specifically talking about this perfectionism complex. So you have to release that perfectionism complex within yourself. Because it's not really as easy as saying, oh yeah, perfectionism doesn't exist. I don't think or act that way anymore. You have to go within and find the reason why you're searching for perfection in yourself and other people and let go of that. So it requires some inner work, and I don't have the answer for you. You have to figure that out yourself. And the second factor regarding people who go through these kind of relationships where they don't seem to have anything long term and they back away quickly. The other factor is it's a combination of trust issues, surrender issues, and lack of vulnerability. So it's all three of those morphed into one. Because it's not like purely all three. It's not purely distrust. It's not purely unwillingness to surrender, and it's not purely not being able to be vulnerable, but it's a combination of all three of those. And that combination makes people more standoffish and essentially afraid to enter long-term or committed relationships. So, trust. It doesn't necessarily mean distrust in other people. It could be, because this is what I experienced. I did not have much trust in the process of life itself. So I didn't trust life to unfold as it should. And that's why. So I was afraid to release control in that sense. And it wasn't necessarily distrust in other people, but it was distrust in the process of how things would work out. So trust doesn't necessarily mean, hey, I don't trust you, so I'm not going to be with you. It could take on many forms. So notice how the issue of trust arises within you, or the issue of distrust. And then the second part of this is surrender, which is really hard for men. I wrote an article about this called The Power of Surrender. We view surrender as a bad thing, and especially men have a hard time letting go and releasing control. We try to control every situation, and when we can't control things, or when a situation requires us to kind of let go and flow into it and release, it's scary. And usually a lot of men have a knee-jerk reaction to that, like, oh, the current's carrying me, get out. So that also creates that reflex mentality to escape. And then the third part of that is, what did I even say the third part was? We have trust, surrender, and drawn a blank. And vulnerability. So vulnerability also has to do with surrender as well. It's tied into that. So we're afraid to admit mistakes. We're afraid to kind of bare our heart, because the conditioning for men is you have to be tough, you have to be a Superman, you can't cry. Perfectionism ties into there too. We have to be these, perfect superheroes who are like very, very stoic. So vulnerability is non-existent for some men. And to be in a long-term relationship or any deep relationship, even a deep friendship, you have to be able to be vulnerable. You have to open your heart. You have to admit your mistakes and your weaknesses and things like that, because you can't just be this stoic rock, because there is no relationship if someone is a stoic rock. There is no relationship. You're not getting close to that person. That's just surface. If you don't open up, if you're not vulnerable, the only possibility for the relationship is surface level. So that's a big thing, being vulnerable. And men can practice this by admitting their mistakes, by admitting their weaknesses, by talking about what they're afraid of, instead of keeping it all in. And I'm not saying you have to be a crybaby or whine about things, but there are healthy outlets for this. And again, this requires some inner work to be vulnerable, because Vulnerability actually supports the masculine as well, because you're able to shore up your weaknesses, you're able to connect with people more. In order to be that kind of powerful masculine to give, you have to open yourself up to people. You can't be this distanced being. You have to be with people in order to give them your all and in order to impact as many people as possible and to truly be grounded in your strength. And to have that strength, you need to admit your weaknesses. Otherwise, you're just delusional. So, yeah, that's a lot of things. And I'll just repeat the two factors that go into this specific type of relationship problem, which is the first part has to do with the trust. Well, this is the second part, trust or distrust, surrender and vulnerability. And then the first part is perfectionism. So go within, ask yourself those questions, do the inner work, and also get in tune with what you really want. Maybe long-term relationships simply aren't for you, but maybe they are. So there is no set path for people either. But still, you need to do the inner work. Any results that you're getting in life that you're not quite happy with, it's because you have a block. It's not the external circumstance. You are the one that is holding yourself back. So you have to find where that block is and release it in order to get what you truly want and what you truly need and what is going to lead to a more and more fulfilling life. Okay? Peace, peace, much love, and one love, baby.